Sri Ramana Maharshi's teachings. Surrender, and you no longer have any cares. A conversation. Mr. T. Raghavaiah, head of a province of India, asked, "Men of the world that we are, we have some kind of grief or another and do not know how to get over it. We pray to God and still are not satisfied. What can we do?" Maharshi: Trust God. Visitor: We surrender, but still there is no help. Maharshi: Yes, if you have surrendered, you must be able to abide by the will of God and not make a grievance of what may not please you. Things may turn out differently from what they look apparently. Distress often leads men to faith in God. Visitor: But we are worldly. There is the wife, there are the children, friends, and relatives. We cannot ignore their existence and resign ourselves to divine will without retaining some little of the personality in us. Maharshi: That means you have not surrendered as professed by you. You must only trust God. Another conversation. Maharshi: All discussions are only to get rid of ignorance. When that is done, everything will be clear. It is a matter of competence or ripeness. Visitor: Can't grace hasten such competence in a seeker? Maharshi: Leave it to the higher power. Surrender unreservedly. One of two things must be done. Either surrender because you admit your inability and also require a higher power to help you, or investigate into the cause of misery, go into the source, and merge into the self. Either way, you will be free from misery. God never forsakes one who has surrendered. Visitor: What is the drift of the mind after surrender? Maharshi: Is the surrendered mind raising the question? Another conversation. A Polish lady who started following Hinduism apparently had a vision of Shiva a couple of times. It was blissful for her. She told Maharshi she wanted the vision to be everlasting. Maharshi said as follows: To be is to realize. Hence, I am that I am. I am is Shiva. Nothing else can be without him. Everything has its being in Shiva and because of Shiva. Therefore, inquire, who am I? Sink deep within and abide as the self. That is Shiva as being. Do not expect to have visions of him repeated. What is the difference between the objects you see and Shiva? He is both the subject and the object. You cannot be without Shiva. Shiva is always realized here and now. If you think you have not realized him, it is wrong. This is the obstacle for realizing Shiva. Give up that thought also, and realization is there. Visitor: Yes, but how shall I effect it as quickly as possible? Maharshi: This is the obstacle for realization. Can there be the individual without Shiva? Even now he is you. There is no question of time. If there be a moment of non realization, the question of realization can arise. But as it is, you cannot be without him. He is already realized, ever realized, and never non realized. Surrender to Shiva and abide by his will, whether he appears or vanishes. Await his pleasure. If you ask him to do as you please, it is not surrender, but a command to him. You cannot have him obey you and yet think that you have surrendered. He knows what is best and when and how to do it. Leave everything entirely to him. His is the burden. You no longer have any cares. All your cares are his. Such is surrender. This is bhakti, devotion. Or inquire to whom these questions arise. Dive deep in the heart and remain as the self. One of these two ways is open to the aspirant. There is no being who is not conscious and therefore who is not Shiva. Not only is he Shiva, but also all else of which he is aware or not aware. Yet he thinks in sheer ignorance that he sees the universe in diverse forms. But if he sees his self, he is not aware of his separateness from the universe. In fact, his individuality and the other entities vanish, although they persist in all their forms.